In October 2013, the United States government shut down. This was not the first time the government had shut down. In fact, it had shut down 17 times prior. But this one was different. It was different for several reasons. This shutdown was the only one to happen in the age of technology. It became normal to pick a side and point the blame. Also, the content of this shutdown was over the funding of one of the most controversial legislations in our government's history, the Affordable Health Care Act of 2010. Affectionately known as Obamacare, this piece of legislation was one of many reforms that has divided our country. Today, a few years after the shutdown, people are further away than they ever have been. Lines have been drawn, and they are defined by socioeconomic status, as well as race and gender barriers. The days of midline politics are far gone, and there is a widening gap that is becoming nearly uncrossable. This chasm is extremely prevalent socially. Having a conversation about anything with depth and meaning is becoming very problematic. Fewer productive conversations are being had due to the fact it is impossible to find common ground. Anytime an issue with substance is brought up, both parties have an emotional and unmovable stance. Social media has allowed people to get their news from websites with just headlines trying to get clicks, rather than finding their news from an unbiased source. Social media has removed all conversations entirely, as people have the freedom to post whatever is on their mind uninterrupted. These posts are usually followed with emotional, spontaneous responses of hate or people jumping on board and agreeing. It is said that most communication is not in the context of the actual words being spoken, but rather the emphasis, the inflection, and the body language. All of these details of communication are entirely lost with social media. The problem I am presenting is the inability to converse in order to find common ground. I believe this to be one of the major problems in our nation socially. Everybody wants to take a stand for what they believe in. But true courage comes in having the humility to change your mind in light of better reasons and better evidence when it is presented. I propose a simple reminder to help people find commonality. There is a basic foundational idea that is prevalent amongst all of us. I am referring to what is known as the Golden Rule. We have all heard some variation of the Golden Rule. Do to others what you would want them to do to you. This is basically how I remember it. Maybe you've heard it said, treat others the way you wish to be treated, but the principle is basically the same. This very simple and seemingly childish sentiment needs to be focused on as we move towards deeper into censored times of our country. The easiest way to find commonality using the Golden Rule as the source is to locate its existence among various religions of the world. About 85% of the world's population belong to some kind of religion. In the United States, that number is similar, but with most people belonging to Christianity. And while the Golden Rule doesn't need to be religious in any terms, there's a pretty good sample size of individuals who claim to follow a certain set of beliefs. So let's explore how each religion expresses the Golden Rule sentiment and see if there is at least a foundation in our holy books as to how we should treat one another. In Buddhism, it is said to hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. In Islam, we find the passage, none of you believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself. In Judaism, we find in the Hebrew scriptures the passage, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And in Christianity, it is said, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." Even in Native American culture, the sentiment is shared. All things are our relatives. What we do to everything, we do to ourselves. This idea is taught to us in preschool. One of the first lessons in sharing for toddlers is just to be nice to others. We do not have financial motives behind this or any other personal gain. We just hold this concept to be part of our values. Why else would humanity reinforce it at every level of development and in every culture? So why doesn't this work? Well, we only follow the advice of our holy book when it's convenient. But mostly, we have alternative motives that skew our judgment. Motives such as financial motivation. Oftentimes, we make the decision that's financially best for us, even though it might not treat others with the type of respect we might have for ourselves. Also, there's the motivation of fear. Oftentimes, we are afraid of what we don't know, and that makes us make the wrong decision. We are living in what is described as the age of technology. We have access to more information than at any other time in human existence. However, we've made it extremely easy to isolate ourselves. Social media has effectively made humanity less social beings. We are using our technology to dig chasms, and it's going to take effective communication to build up those bridges once more. We are trending in the wrong direction, but it is because of the ever-presence of the golden rule that I still have faith in our society. When we have broke down barriers, only then has America been great. The solution to our problems does not lie in any form of complex governmental platform. Before any significant change can happen, we must change how we approach, how we treat and respect one another, especially those who do not think the way we do. So please, I implore you, tonight and for the rest of your life, treat others the way you wish to be treated.